This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good Erev Shabbos Rabbi Isai, as we prepare for Shabbos Parshas Vayigash. Usually I say fasten your seatbelts, but for this year, I think you have to buckle in twice. You have to hold on to both sides of the railing, because I don't even know what to do with this. I have no idea what this means. And you're going to want something to say over at the table. So today's shiur, you're not going to be saying over at the table. So I have to give you something quick to say over at the table before you start with the shiur. It's very interesting. Parshas Vayigash, Parak Mem Hey, Pasuk Chavches. Vayomer Yisrael, Rav Oid Yosef Beni Chai El Chaverenu B'Taram Amos. He says, Rav Oid. Rav Oid. So Rashi is bothered. What does this mean, Rav Oid? Rashi says it means Ravli. I have a lot. Oid Simcha B'Chedva. Hova Oid Yosef B'Ni Chai. What does this mean exactly? So there's a very interesting word from the Baal Trumas Hadashan, Rabbi Yisrael Isserlin, one of the Rishonim. He says, what is this lashon? Rav Oid Yosef B'Ni Chai. When Yosef passed away, everyone was mourning, especially Yaakov, but there was one individual who was particularly very happy.
When Yosef died.
Esav. Because we know that the antagonist of Esav is Yosef. Yosef is the force that destroys Esav, right? Like the pasuk says in Ovadia, V'haya beis Yaakov eish, ubeis Yosef lahava, ubeis Esav lakash. Yaakov's a fire, but Yaakov is impotent against Esav without the kayach of Yosef. So when Yosef died, Esav was particularly happy because now Esav will be able to be very powerful. So when Yaakov hears that Yosef is still alive, who does he send message to? Esav. To Esav. What is Esav called in the Chumash? The Rav Yavod Tzoyer. He's called Rav. Vayomer Yisrael. And Yaakov said, Rav! Esav! You heard the news? Oid Yosef B'Ni Chai. Esav is still alive. Yosef is still alive. That's from the Baal Trumas Hadashan, one of the Rishonim. Okay, Rabbi say now, hopefully with that you prepared yourself for what we're about to hear. I don't even know what we're going to do with it. Please ask your Rabbeim, Rabbanim, Admoirim. I don't know what this means. Parshas Vayigash, look on your sheet. Parak Mem Daled, Pasuk Chav Beis. And it's a plea to anyone listening to the shiur. If anyone has any explanation what we're about to learn, please, I'd be happy to know. Pasuk Chav Beis. Vanoimer la'adoini. La yuchal anar la'esaviv. Yehuda says to Yosef, we told you, Binyamin cannot leave his father. V'yazav esaviv. If he leaves his father, v'meis. Binyamin's going to die. Why is he going to die? What? He's homesick. Why would Binyamin die? Yaakov's going to die. Why is Yaakov going to die?
Because he took him away.
If he just leaves his father for a minute, V'yazav, he leaves him, he's coming back.
Not for a minute.
V'meis means Binyamin. Why would Binyamin die? Now look, a few psukim later, Ulakachtem gam hazeh me'im panai. Yaakov said, if you're going to take this one, v'karahu asayin, an accident's going to happen to Binyamin. Why would an accident happen to Binyamin? Why is Yaakov being so pessimistic that if Binyamin will leave him, an accident would happen? He get hit by it. Why? Well, he's only protected by Yaakov? I mean, Yaakov, let up a little, let the kid get out. He's a grown adult. Why is Yaakov being so protective? And then I'm going to go down to the grave in mourning. So we're about to learn a comment of one of the great Rishonim, Rabino Ephraim. Rabino Ephraim Bar Shimshon. This is an authentic compilation from one of the Rishonim. What do we know about Rabino Ephraim? The Chida writes in the Shem HaGdolim that Chiber, Perush, Uramazim, Ugamatrias al Torah, he composed a book of allusions and numerical values on the Torah. V'hu biyadei kisav yad. I have the manuscript, says the Chida. And I'll tell you an amazing thing. To try to glean some biographical information about Rabino Ephraim, he writes in Parshas Vayelech that I heard from Rabbeinu Tam, who asked a malach the following question. So again, Rabbeinu Ephraim records that he heard from Rabbeinu Tam, who asked the Baal Chaloim. Now this Rabino Tam is not the Rabino Tam of Tosfos. That Rabino Tam was not known for his conversations with different Bali Chaloimos and different Malachim. There was a Rabino Tam, however, who wrote, I believe, something called Shal Sechuvas Min HaShamayim. Different questions he asked of the Malachim via the heavens, via dreams. So let's see. Kenira the Chivon al Rabino Yaakov mi Marvish. That this refers to a different Rabino Tam. Shahayashoyel she'elos min HaShamayim. This refers to Rabino Tam who asked questions from Shamayim. Umeshivin lai. So if Rabino Ephraim is quoting Rabino Tam, then Rabino Ephraim must have lived in the times of Rabino Tam. And one of those questions took place in the year 4963. So we're in the year 5774. So 49, so it's about 800 years ago. So we're talking in, what? 13th century. 13th century. So Rabino Ephraim writes that he heard this from him. He must have lived around then. So now look carefully. The Chidah says that in Parshas Vayelech, Rabino Ephraim heard something from Rabino Tam. So I looked up, what exactly did Rabino Ephraim hear from Rabino Tam? The Chidah doesn't tell us what Rabino Ephraim heard from Rabino Tam. So look at number 3.
So why does he say it to start with?
No, the Chidah is just trying to glean biographical information. It's not important what exactly it was he heard. Just the fact that he heard something from Rabino Tam shows they lived in the same time period. So look at this. Look at number 3. Rabino Ephraim in Parshas Vayelech writes, Shamati ma Rabino Tam, Sheshah l'balach halayim, he asked the angel, either the master of the dreams, either Raziel HaMalach or Gavriel, is there any allusion to the mamzer in the Torah? Is Yashka and his mother, right? His mother Mary, is she alluded to in the Torah? Is there any allusion to these illegitimate people in the Torah? And he said, yeah. In Parshas Vayelech, Rabbeinu Tam asked the Malach, is there any allusion? They said, yeah. On the pasuk Eloi, hey, Nechar Haaretz, the God of the strangers of the world, that's the Gematria Yeshu and Miriam. The Gematria of Eloi, Nechar Haaretz is Yeshu and Miriam. Fine.
Yesterday you said he didn't either. The other day you said he didn't either.
Yeah, no, the person who they claim is their God may not have ever walked. Yeah, but that's
So who's this he's asking?
a different person. A different. Look at number 4. Listen to this. Look at number 4. Says Rabino Ephraim, what was Yaakov Avinu afraid of? That if Binyamin would leave him, Binyamin would die. And Yehuda is saying that if Binyamin would leave his father, he would die. You ready for this? I never heard anything like this in my life.
You don't watch TV?
Davar Acher.
You don't watch TV, right?
That's a personal question. No, I don't. Davar Acher. Ki Binyamin haya ze'ev yitroif. Binyamin was a wolf who tore up v'tarif b'nei adam le'itim. And sometimes he would rip people apart. Uchshebaloi ha'es. And when the time came, Shenepach leze'ev, that Binyamin turned into a wolf, Shenemar, Binyamin ze'ev yitroif, like the pasuk says Rabbeinu Ephraim, when the Torah says Binyamin ze'ev yitroif, it's not a mashal. It's not that he was like a wolf.
The real thing. Times
would come that Binyamin would metamorphosize into a wolf, and he would rip people apart. Uva'oid shahya eitzel aviv, but when he was with his father, Nishan al haroife, Yaakov had a special doctor that maybe injected him with the right things, and he kept him human. And at that time, he did not turn into a wolf. I'm not saying, this is not my Torah. This is Rabbeinu Ephraim. Shekach Omar. This is what it means. V'ozav es aviv v'meis. He would leave his father and die. Why? Because when he would leave his father, he would turn into a wolf. And what would the hunters do to him? They would kill him. Koloimar, kisheyiparid me'aviv. Yepach leze'ev, he would turn into a wolf. La'iv de drachim, for the wayfarers. Vayakamoitza yargeu, anyone could kill him.
But he didn't turn into a wolf.
1 second, you have questions? You never even heard this before. First, let's digest the information. Binyamin, says Rabbeinu Ephraim, would metamorphosize into an animal, into a wolf. Like a werewolf. To a werewolf. That's the pasuk in Vayechi. Binyamin Ze'ev Yitraf is not a mashal. It's not an allegory. It's literal. Binyamin HaTzadik, who by the way the Gemara says in Bavasa never did an Avera, he would turn into a wolf. But not when he was by his father. When he was by Yaakov Avinu, he remained a person. Yaakov had a special doctor, and in that zechus, he would remain human. Now you ready for this? Rabino Ephraim writes this in 3 places in his commentary. Rabino Ephraim in Parshas Vayechi. What we just saw is Rabino Ephraim in Parshas Vayigash. Memdar Chavtes. Rabino Ephraim in V'zois in Parshas Vayechi on the pasuk in Zois HaBracha. Uvein keseifav shachein. His legs rested between his shoulders. How do your legs rest between your shoulders? Because an animal, when an animal rests and crouches, the legs come up before their shoulders. Says Rabino Ephraim, look at this, look at number 7. Ze'ev echad, there's a type of wolf. Shekarin lufguro. A lufguro. A werewolf. For who ben Adam? What's a lufguro? A person. Mishtana leze'ev, he would turn into a wolf. There's such a thing, azam musag, of a human being that could turn into a wolf.
What's this in Transylvania?
Uvisha shemishtana leze'ev, and at the time that he would turn into a wolf, raglav yoitzin mi bein kseifav, his legs would come out between his shoulders. Kach Binyamin, so too Binyamin, bein kseifav shachin. When the Torah says he dwelled between his shoulders, that means at certain times Binyamin would turn into a wolf and his legs would go between his shoulders. How do you cure this wolf? If, let's say, you're about to be trampled by a werewolf, so you have to know this. Rabbi said, it's important to know. What do you do when you encounter a werewolf?
You change it back to a person.
How? How do you do it?
We read it.
Bishash shenichnas l'bayis. When the werewolf opens up the front door, and you're afraid of him, you go to the fireplace and you take the mound of ashes, and you throw it this way and that makes sure that the werewolf doesn't come. Rabbi say, in whose share was the Beis Hamikdash built? Binyamin. Where was the Mizbeach? Where was the Chumash Hadeshen? Binyamin. Why? That koyach kept Binyamin in the right form. The koyach of the Deshen, that's what you do. So you have to know what happens with the werewolf. Kach hayu oisin b'mikdash b'chol yom hayu mashlichem Deshen eitzal mizbeach tasiv v'samay eitzal mizbeach. V'chein hu minag adam sheyihafech taldasil azev. This is what you do to somebody who turns into a wolf. Ki hazev.
Maybe I'm jumping. Because when the pasuk says "Vayoma v'nomer ladano lo yuchal na'alav," they didn't know this, Ma'isa. That they didn't know. We said
no. Yosef didn't know they had a brother at home that would sometimes turn into a wolf. How would Yosef know such a thing?
The brothers didn't they know the antidote? We said before that if he left his father who had a special doctor, he would turn into a wolf. And the brothers didn't know that they took the Deshen and threw it.
Yeah, but why? They don't want to. It's not going to be good news if they bring Binyamin to Yosef and all of a sudden Binyamin turns into a wolf and they're going to have to start whipping out the ashes. Yeah, not a good scene when your brother turns into a wolf in front of the Yosef.
He was in Egypt. He should have turned in when he tore up in the tribe.
Wow. Okay. He says, "V'chein hu minhag adam shehafech toldos lezev, ki hazev noled b'shinayim." A wolf is the only creature born with teeth. Now listen to this. Look in the next line. V'kein Binyamin. A wolf sometimes eats people. Binyamin ate somebody. Who did he eat? He ate his mother, Rachel Imenu.
That's not an Avera.
V'chein Binyamin achal es imay shemesa. After she died, Binyamin ate her. Dechsiv?
He got for great. She was a baby. He was a baby. He was just born.
Exactly. Right. He was hungry.
Where do we know that from?
From Rabino Ephraim.
Was he born with teeth?
What? Vayihi b'tzeis nafsha kimesa. And it was when she died. Kimesa, that vatikur shemai ben oini. V'lakach ein levehema. So he says like this. The pasuk of Binyamin, now a wolf is the only creature that's born with teeth. How? The pasuk that talks about Binyamin, Binyamin Ze'ev Yitraf, it begins with the letter Beis, it ends with the letter Binyamin Ze'ev Yitraf, Ba'bochar Yoichal Ad, V'le'erav Yichalik Shalol, Shalol ends with the letter Lamed, Beis Lamed, 32. How many teeth does a Jew have? 32. A Jew has 32 teeth. Binyamin, who is this Ze'ev, who is born with Shinayim, so Klal Yisrael has 32 teeth. So you say, what does this mean exactly? What is this supposed to mean? Binyamin was a wolf? He turned into a wolf? What are you going to do with that? Mr. Nathan, you're going to say it over to your wife? She's going to get scared. She's going to frighten her.
What kind of share you going?
What kind of
Rabbi,
I'm afraid to tell that to somebody.
Yeah. So Rabbi say,
you don't know what I'm saying.
so you'll say, okay, you find a lot of interesting things in the words of the Rishonim. We don't know what this means. The Chida, in his entry on the word Zev, wolf, in the Sefer Dvash Lafi, the Chida quotes what we just learned word for word. The Chida brings this down, that it's important for us to know this. Chida in the Sefer Dvash Lafi, look at number 8. Zev echad yesh shekarin lai lufgaru. There's a wolf that's called a lufgaru. V'hu ben adam, and he's a person. Umishtana lezev, that could transform into a wolf. And when he turns into a wolf, the feet come out from between its shoulders. That's what it means by Binyamin, bein kesef of shachin. And so now the question is there any segula to save yourself from a wolf? Says the Chida, of course. You take the ashes from the fire, like they did in the Beis HaMikdash, you sprinkle it near the wolf goes away. Says the Chida, look in the next line. Tazayin. Zev shenepach la'adam, afilu shu mishtana la'adam b'chosha, yesh lo zanav. Here's another thing. And how do you know if somebody's a werewolf? Right? What's the true test?
His ears look funny.
No, the ears turn back normal. But even when he turns into a human, he still has a tail. So if you see a guy and he's shuckling by Shemona Esrei, but there's a tail sticking out, don't meet him in a dark alleyway, says the Chida. Okay? Binyamin. I didn't say that. No, I didn't say it. Binyamin in his chelek in the Beis HaMikdash, a little strip came out of his chelek, went to the area of the Mizbeach. That was the zanav. That was the tail that was able to chap the makam hamizbeach. Zev shenepach la'adam, afilu shehu mishtana la'adam b'chosha yesh lo zanav, kachai seratzua yotzim echelko shebinyamin, v'nichnas l'sechelko shel Yehuda. Rabbi said, to me it's very, very curious that the Chida quotes Rabino Ephraim in Parshas Vayechi, and he does not quote the part that Binyamin himself turned into a wolf. Isn't that curious? Here the Chida is telling us that there's something called a werewolf, and this werewolf has his feet sticking out between his legs. And he's telling me the whole segula how to protect yourself from it. And he's telling me how to recognize somebody who's a werewolf. And he leaves out the most intriguing line of the whole Rabino Ephraim, that Binyamin was a werewolf. Unless that means, and I don't know, that the Chida did not have this girsa in Rabino Ephraim. Right. So the Kach Binyamin, that doesn't mean Binyamin was a wolf. Since Binyamin maybe is compared to a wolf, so therefore his chelek had this feature but the words of B'chein Binyamin achal asimai. Now when Rabino Ephraim says Binyamin ate his mother, it also may not mean he ate his mother. The same way a wolf could eat someone, Binyamin ate his mother. How did he eat his mother? He didn't eat his mother. You think? When Binyamin was born, his mother died. So in some way, it's considered, look what he caused to his mother. His birth
But that's eating. That's
Yeah,
not eating.
the same way the Mizbeach says the Mizbeach is achal. Achal means to consume something, to cause something to be depleted. Binyamin caused the depletion of his mother. So again, that line, V'chein Binyamin achal asimai, doesn't mean he ate his mother. It means Shemesa mimenu. He died from her, right? You have to read these words carefully.
She died from him.
She died from him.
What are you reading now?
I'm reading that line in Rabino Ephraim. But the first Rabino Ephraim in Vayigash, Ki Binyamin hoya ze'ev yitroif, v'torif b'nei adam li'itim. And when he turned into a ze'ev, he would rip people apart. What does that mean? We'll have to see. There's another Rabino Ephraim. You ready for this? Mr. Zalkin, you like we had different systems of gematria, right? So we're going to be introduced to a new system today of gematria. Rabino Ephraim writes, Vayivra Adam Tselem Elokim. Tselem. What does Tselem mean? What does Tselem mean? An image. Says Rabino Ephraim, there's a system of interposing words called Elbaum. 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 What's Elbaum? If you use the Elbaum system, the word Tselem is read Ze'ev, a wolf.
Of course.
Right?
Everybody.
Rabbi Yaakov knows. What's the Elbaum system? How many letters in the alphabet? 22. So you take 11 and you put under it the next 11. Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Ches, Tes, Yud, Chav. Right? You have it in number 10 on the bottom line. And then on the bottom line you put the next 11. So let's do that to Tselem. The Tzaddik is turned into a Zayin. The Lamed is turned to an Aleph. And the Mem is turned into a Beis. So Tselem could mean Ze'ev. Tselem is a wolf. God created man, not in the image of God. God created man like a wolf. I know who you're thinking of. No. Right? So look at Rabino Ephraim. Tselem be'elbam Ze'ev. Lekach oisam b'nei Adam. There are some people, Shemishtanin leZe'ev. They turn into wolves. Nivru misheshes imei bereshis. These people were created from the 6 days of creation. Now how does a wolf, how does a man who turned into a wolf turn back into a man? They need to eat the blood of a man or a woman. They got to eat somebody. When they eat somebody, they turn back into a human.
That's Dracula.
Yeah, there you go. So this is Rabino Ephraim. This is Rabino Ephraim. By the way, the Sefer Hasidim writes, in Ois Kuf Pevav, Echad Noilad Im Shinayim V'Zanav. There's someone who is born with teeth. Now, if a kid is born with teeth, it's a little spooky. But if the kid is born with a tail also, you're onto something.
It's way out.
So people said about this kid's going to devour people. Are you allowed to kill the kid? If somebody is born looking like a chaya, are you allowed to kill them?
Good shot.
So they turned to a certain chacham, and the chacham said, take out his teeth. Go to the oral surgeon, pull out his teeth, cut off the tail. If you do that, he'll turn into a human being. So far, Rabbi Sai, I'm giving you Eitzah Tova. If you meet a werewolf, you have a number of different strategies.
We don't have fireplaces.
Either you go to the fireplace, you take the ashes, you sprinkle it on him. That's number one. Number two, you could pull out the teeth, and also it's a good idea to cut off the tail.
He doesn't eat you first.
Okay. By the way, in the Shas Tshuva Me'ava, Chelak Av Siman and Gimel, there's a Shiloh there. If a kid is born looking like a chaya, if you're allowed to kill the kid. Rabbi Sai, let's take a look at Sefer Daniel.
Oh.
Does anybody remember? In Sefer Daniel, we read a story about this. About a human being who turned into an animal. Nebuchadnezzar. You remember? Hashem tells Nebuchadnezzar, Oid Mil, you're going to miss the best part. Oid Milsa.
I have to pick up my grandson.
Oid Milsa. The best, there was another matter. Before Malka. Kol min Shemaya Nafal. A voice came down from heaven. Lach Amr Nebuchadnezzar Malka. We say to you, Nebuchadnezzar, Malchusa Adas Minach. Your kingdom will be taken away. Umin anashalach tardin. You're going to be banished from mankind. V'yimchevas bara midayrach. You're going to live with the wild animals. You're going to eat the grass like an ox. You're going to bathe in the fields with the dew of the heavens. You're going to grow hair. You're going to grow claws like a bird. Remember that? Says the Ibn Ezra. Says the Ibn Ezra. What does this mean? Look on the wide line. Don't think for a moment that Nebuchadnezzar turned into an animal. It doesn't mean like, they would like to think that he metamorphosized into an animal. He didn't turn into an animal, but he lived with the animals and he ate their food. Now get ready for this. V'tam ulevav chayos. What does it mean he'll have the heart of an animal? Shetasur daitoi. He'll lose his mind. Says the Ibn Ezra. You ready for this? A couple lines down. Ibn Ezra and Daniel, Perek Daled, Pasuk Chavches. V'higid li. Someone told me, look at this. V'ani ro'isi echad mechabereina. I met a friend, Neman Ruach, a trustworthy friend. V'higid li, he told me, Shahaya be'i achas, that he was on an island. Shehi Sardagya. Right? So maybe we could have the next Jewish heritage tour to the island of Sardagya. V'hine arol echad yatsa. There was a certain guy, ubarach me'avosav, he ran away from his parents. Kisara daita, he lost his mind. V'hishtagea, he became crazy. V'haya im ha'ayolim, he lived with the rams. Shanim rabbis. V'hu hoylech haraglav, he walked on all four. V'yadav kumayim. V'hinei halach melech ha'ai latzut seda. The king of the eye went to capture wild animals. V'lokach ayolim rabim. And in his hunting, he captured this guy. And meanwhile, the father of this guy, who the king thought was an ayol, happened to be in the palace. He recognized his kid, and he spoke to him. He didn't answer. And he gave him bread and wine. He didn't want it. And in the middle of the night, he ran away. He went back to run away with the animals. So we see that sometimes a human being, it can happen. Happens to the best of them. In the Sefer Shalshalas HaKabbalah, it's brought down. Now listen to this one. You ready for this? No? Alright, if you're still holding in there, you still have the fortitude. Listen to Shalshalas HaKabbalah writes that in the times of the Dar HaFlaga, listen to what happened. Ready for this? Vayafetz Hashem oisam misham, God scattered them, al pnei kol haaretz. Vayachdilu livnoi soyer. Says the Shalshalas HaKabbalah, let me tell you about strange creatures in Africa. I think we're going to call this share werewolves and other strange creatures. Okay?
For Mandela.
Listen to yeah.
Are you recording that?
Listen to this. No, not. Listen to this. Va'azkir lefanecha. I'm going to mention to you. Ktsasam be'Africa. Some creatures in Africa. Yesh brios meshunos. Shem androgynous. Umeshtamshim zabazah. Beglilois sitia. Yesh anoshim shein lahem ela ayin achas b'metzach. Right? This is they have one eye on their forehead. Yeah?
The terrestrials.
Okay. But India, there's some people, they don't have a mouth to eat. In the mountains of India, there are people, they have a tail, they don't act like people. There's some people, they have the body of a horse and the head of a ram. A unicorn, and they have one horn. There's some people, they have 3 sets of teeth. They have the head of a man and the body of a lion. There's some people, they have 1 leg. And they have a very wide foot. There's some people, they have no throat. And they have eyes on their back of their body. There's some people, their whole body is full of hair. And they have teeth like a dog.
What?
Teeth like a dog. There's some people that in the summer, they turn into a wolf. And in the winter, they turn Yeah, you think people are going to Florida in the winter. No, you don't know what's going on.
Turn into a bird.
Yeah.
Birds.
In Libya, there are people, they can't see the light.
Who wrote this,
They
by the
live in
way?
caves.
Shashel HaKabbalah.
Who's that?
It's an authentic sefer. It's one from the. It's an account of Jewish history.
When, what century? 19th?
No. Earlier. It's earlier. I don't have the exact date. In Ethiopia, there are people who live in caves and they only eat snakes.
What does he base all this? Was he there?
I don't know. Were you there? Could you contradict it? I don't know.
No, the point is...
Okay.
The point is...
And let's
I
continue.
want to know if
And he says, Oimrim Chachameim. This source is the source you got over here. Shekomi sheyesh leitzuras Adam, yatzim lechaltzei Adam Harishon. If you look like a human, one thing we know, you're a descendant of Adam Harishon. So what we're learning today is that, at least in Jewish literature, there are accounts of very strange creatures. You have from Rabino Ephraim. Rabino Ephraim says, the words are, that Binyamin was a Zev Yitroif, the Toif B'nei Adam Leitim. What this means, I have absolutely no idea. I'll let you ask your Rabbanim, your Chachamim, your Nevoinim, your Admoirim, but let me tell you the following conjecture.
I'm going to tell him.
Okay. Let me tell you the following. Says Rabbi Chanan Wasserman on the pasuk Soif Davar Hakol Nishma Esolekim Yira Ki Zeh Kol Ha'adam. Says Rabbi Chanan, a person may say the following: how would you classify a human being that doesn't have Yira Shemayim? So you'd say he's an Adam. He's just missing Yira Shemayim. He's an Adam. He's a human being. He has a mind. He has a brain. He has manners. He's just missing Yira Shemayim. But Shlomo Melch tells us no. Soif davar hakol nishma esalekim yira. If you fear God, you're an Adam. If you don't fear God, you're not an Adam. So then what are you then? You're an animal. So what does that mean, you're an animal? Says Rabbi Chanan Wasserman on the pasuk Naaseh Adam, let us make man. Who's the us? Who's God talking to? Who's God? That's what Rashi says. But the Zayar says differently. The Zayar says that when Hashem created man, He turned to all of creation and He said, everyone contribute to the creation of man. He turned to the lion. He said, make man. He turned to the snake. He said, make man. He turned to the leopard. He turned to the eagle. Every creation, every creature contributed an element to man. That's why Adam is called an Olam Katan. Because man contains in him an element of all of creation. Every midah of every animal is somehow included in man. For the good and for the bad. Says Rabbi Chanan, if to catch one lion, how many chains of iron do you need? So to catch one man, as bad as a wild animal is, there's nothing worse than a wicked man. Because a wicked man is not just a wicked lion. He's a wicked lion, he's a wicked bear, he's a wicked eagle, and to top it off, he actually has a brain. So, what a lion can't do, the biggest Russia in the world, right? No wild animal could do what Hitler did. Why? Because a Russia contains in him all the destructive forces of creation. That's why God made man after all of creation. Because all of creation contributed to the creation of man. Says Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, what's the reins? What is the force that holds man in check? Yira Shamayim, fear of God. If you fear God, then all the destructive forces in man are put in check. But if you don't fear God, you're not an Adam anymore. Then you have the destructive forces of a lion, a bear, all the wild animals. Very important to know that a human being has in him all of these forces, and the only thing that keeps him in check is Yira Shamayim. That's why when Avram Avinu came to Avimelech, what did he say? Rak ein yiras Elokim ba'makom hazeh. There's no fear of God, and you know what's going to happen? Baharaguni, you're going to kill me, because if you don't have fear of God, you're an asp. You're a wild snake. Oh. But there's another thing we see from here. You know what else we see from here? The Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos, Havei az kanamer, tal kanesher, gibar kari, ratz katziv gibar kari. Why is the Mishnah telling you to be strong like a lion to serve Hashem? I'm not a lion, I'm an Adam. Why is the Mishnah telling you to be kal kanesher? Gi az kanamer? I'm a human. The answer is, yeah, but every human being has the destructive koyach of all the behemoths, but also has the midos and koychos of all of creation to harness for the good. It's not just that Hashem gave Adam all the destructive forces of creation. Hashem gave a human all the constructive forces of creation. In other words, a person could use the gevura of a lion to do the will of Hashem. A person, that person wants to say something. What does he have to do? He has to learn to keep his mouth closed. Not everything that a person thinks he has to say. How do you do that? It takes a lot of gevura. Yeah, you have the gevura. You have gevura sa'ari. Adam was created with the kayach of ari. How could I get up and run to shul? Answer is, have a kal kanesha. You have in you the swiftness of the eagle. Yirah Shamayim keeps these kaychos in check and also allows you to harness them for the good. So when Chazal tell us that the Shvatim, where Gur Aryeh Yehuda, Dan Yezanek min Abashan, Dan is like a snake. Binyamin Ze'ev Yitrach. What does that mean? What does that mean? What that means is not Chas v'Shalom between Mavaza, one of the Shiftei Ka. What that means is every animal has a certain koyach that could be harnessed for Avodas Hashem. What's the koyach of the Ze'ev? Koyach of the Ze'ev is to chap, is to hone in on something and to grab it. Says Chazal, Binyamin wanted the Makom HaMizbeach. So what did he do? He was able to chap a strip of the Makom HaMikdash to be able to have one added part of the Beis HaMikdash. Where did he get that koyach from? That's Binyamin Ze'ev Yitraf. He was able to harness the koyach of all mankind. He had the koyach HaZe'ev. Does it mean what Rabino Ephraim says literally? I have no idea what he says. I don't know what it means literally. But on this level, Rabbi Chanan is teaching me that Adam was created as a composite of all the forces of this world. You need Yirah Shamayim to keep it in check. But what we're learning is, more than keeping in check, these forces are harnessed. Yehuda ben Tema Omer. Haviyaz kanomer kal kanesher gira ratzu tzvi lasois ritzayin avicha shva shamayim aboisai Good Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.